The Techstars network is very global and consists of shared values across the network. We have 5,000 or so portfolio companies made up of 10,000 plus founders, many, many thousands of mentors that are actively engaged, tens of thousands of investors that have invested in our portfolio companies. And so it's a very broad, geographically diverse network. We've run events in 150 countries. We operate all over the world. Size is great, but what makes the Techstars network really powerful and special is the throughput between the nodes on the network. When that investor in Omaha invests in that company in Singapore, that connection gets made and it makes the startup community in Singapore better. It creates new connections across the network. We're lighting up the network with lots of new tools and activities, and startup community partnerships are an important way that we're doing that. So are things like Techstars Universe, our online platform to find and activate these connections. So it's special because of the shared values. When you come into the Techstars network, you're indoctrinated into this super powerful idea of give first. The idea that you're just there to help others succeed. It's not about me. It's not about a transaction. It's about giving to the system and getting a benefit back in a way that is unexpected. That cultural value exists across the global Techstars network. That's what causes the connections that are so powerful to happen.
The word startup community didn't exist at the time. People would call these things entrepreneurial ecosystems or innovation clusters or research this. And the language was very inaccessible to me. So the whole idea of startup communities was to make it accessible to people through the Boulder thesis and its principles. The 4 principles, again, are straightforward. The first is founders have to be the leaders of the startup community. You have lots of different constituencies in a startup community, but fundamentally the leaders have to be the founders. The second is that you have to take a very long-term view, but it's more than just 20 years from some date. It's always looking forward 20 years. So 10 years from now, you still have to have a 20-year view about the startup community. You have to be thinking about it for the long term. The third principle of the Boulder thesis is that you have to engage and be inclusive of anyone who wants to engage, regardless of what their background or experience is. The last is that you needed activities and events that continually engaged everyone up and down the entrepreneurial stack, from aspiring entrepreneurs to, very, very wealthy entrepreneurs that had a half a dozen exits. You wanted all of them engaging together in things around entrepreneurship. The essential thing is that you have to have a vibrant startup community of founders who are working together and working with all of these organizations to have them become successful.
When you hear the power of the network or Techstars for life, sometimes that is underappreciated. I went through Techstars as a founder in 2011, but it all started from a startup weekend in Miami back in 2010. Startup weekend was the first interaction that I had with Techstars that inspired me to create a company with my co-founder at that point. From that point onwards, we applied to Techstars, we got into Techstars New York, and that's where I discovered mentorship and the power of mentorship. Not only did I benefit from those mentors, but I decided to mentor other founders that came after me. After I had seen the success of the companies I had been mentoring, I decided to become an investor full-time. Having been in the ecosystem for a while, I finally made it back to Techstars again, this time as managing director of the Boulder program, then the Miami program, and now the New York program. And even throughout my years of investing, both in the United States and outside of the United States, I have seen the multiplier effect that a startup community like Techstars can bring. Back in 2011 in New York, it used to be said that you couldn't build unicorns here, that if you really wanted to build a unicorn, you had to move to Silicon Valley. And I'm sure that in ecosystems around the world, you hear that very often. But if something is true, is that as long as you have entrepreneurs willing to change the world, you can create an ecosystem and you can get great companies with great entrepreneurs from anywhere in the world.
Being a founder is a really long and tough journey. Founders need to be surrounded by people who they can get advice from as they build. And founders need to have resources and education and know where to get it, opportunities, introductions, answer questions, and get their businesses built. Techstars was founded on the belief that there is definitely an easier way for founders to build. And the ability to call up other founders and talk about challenges and wins or how tough it is building a business is pretty awesome. You know, many of our mentors are actually founders themselves and Techstars founders, alumni, and friends of alumni who have had successes and failures. And they either had mentors helping them in the past or they lacked mentors in the past. And what they want to do is to be able to share what they've learned through the process so that no one has to go through what they didn't have or be able to access what they did have. And it's really incredible.
David Cohen sat in front of me when I was talking with him about potentially coming on board at Techstars. Said, I think we can build the largest, most effective entrepreneurial network in the world. But what David saw, I thought was interesting. Although venture capital is historically transactional, he saw that you could create an emotional connection to that experience. And all of a sudden he was saying, hey, we can create these networks where people will support and help each other out. Now, downstream, that got defined as give first. Idea was simple. If you're part of Techstars, I help you out if I need it, if you need it. On the flip side, if I need help from somebody else and their Techstars, expectation is they'll respond. It's simple, but that credibility lens that comes through Techstars opens up the door for opportunity for all. I look at what we did at Techstars, what continues to happen as the best affiliate network that has ever existed. The best affiliate network that is out there, non-friends and family that I've ever seen. Now, if you think about what we were trying to do at Techstars through a relational network, through an alumni network, it was to satiate the primary needs of founders: funding, talent, customer acquisition, knowledge share, mentorship. If you want to talk about true power of the network, that's what it is. When you can help scale companies quicker and faster through the relationships that feel indebted or connected to the organization. That's what Techstars did. That's the emotion that they created, again, through what is historically transactional.
Our partners in our startup community partnerships will experience an onboarding that will go on for a year or two. You're going to go through a cohort with other startup communities around the world, similar to how a founder might go through an accelerator cohort. It's going to be a shared experience to learn together and grow together to help try to make your startup community grow and thrive. So there's constant learning going on in the first couple of years. It's learning how to build thriving startup communities, how to impart the cultural values that are necessary there, and how to leverage the Techstars brand and products to make it as powerful as it can be. And so as you're going through that cohort, you're also going to start to run a rhythm of your own events and activities. That's the magic of startup communities, is getting people together and doing real things together, right? So in startup weekends that you'll offer, you'll constantly be inspiring and motivating entrepreneurs to go and chase their dreams. With Startup Week, you'll have an annual celebration of entrepreneurship in your community that'll create amazing buzz and energy. With things like Founder Catalyst, you'll be able to identify those promising founders, connect them with other founders from across the global Techstars network, find investors, and hopefully get them accepted into accelerator programs around the world. All of this is designed to grow a thriving startup community where you are. And it's an ongoing experience. The events and activities are a rhythm that you'll create. As you do that, you'll also have opportunities around the world to experience how other startup communities have grown and thrived. You'll be able to visit places and hear from those leaders, right, about how they've done it. Maybe they're a few years ahead of you. Maybe you're a few years ahead of them. And so this peer network is a really valuable part of the experience as well. Here at Techstars, we love nothing more than supporting startup communities around the world and ultimately helping them help founders succeed. We hope you'll join us with the Techstars Startup Community Partnership.